I want to talk about the PGA. Do you remember we said that what the 54 LIV, what that exhibition series funded by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Fund, paying hundreds of millions of dollars to players just to play, guaranteeing that all players make the cut. You only play 3 days. You finish in last, you still get $100,000. Opportunity to make at least $1 million a year if you're the worst player playing these LIV 8 tournaments. Golf free agency is upon us. And PGA Tour had to do something. So there's a tournament in Connecticut upcoming. Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, met with his players, and they made an announcement. Guess what they're doing? They're coming up with 8 tournaments on the PGA Tour where the purse for those tournaments is $20 million. That's $160 extra million going to the players. They're making it sort of like a President's Cup, a FedEx Cup. Got to be in the top 50. They're giving opportunities to players not in the top 50 to get back in the top 50 by playing extra tournaments in the PGA Tour toward the end of the year. They changed the calendar for tournaments because players were complaining that there was no off season. So they are making the PGA Tour a calendar year tour, which it used to be a wraparound tour. All of a sudden, the PGA is thinking about its golfers. It's giving more money to its golfers. It's being more flexible with its golfers. Why? This is the exact reason why unions are made. Unions are formed and agreed to because the thought is that with a group of players or workers or people who have commonality of interest, that will lead to better work conditions. Now, granted, it used to be for migrant workers, but that said, better work conditions, if you're making $1 million, if you start making $1.1 million, that's a better work condition. If you only have 2 smoke breaks, 1 coffee break, 1 lunch break, and you work from 9 to 6 and don't get paid for lunch, and then all of a sudden you get 3 breaks, 2 breaks, and an hour 15 for lunch, that's better working conditions. If you get better safety equipment, all the different things that in theory employers don't want to do because they cost money and it impacts the bottom line, but workers want because they want to be more comfortable, happier, and remunerated in larger amounts. The other thing other than forming a union that causes better working conditions and more money flowing from employer to employee is, wait for it, competition. The PGA Tour has realized, not as quickly as they could have, but pretty darn quickly, that the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Fund is not running out of money anytime soon. This LIV series is not going away anytime soon. The migration of players from the PGA Tour, including Brooks Koepka, He's going to be announced sometime next week maybe, but we told you yesterday it broke while we were doing the show. They're getting more and more big-name players to go. The PGA Tour has to stop the bleeding, and the only way to stop the bleeding is to put LIV out of business. You can't put LIV out of business. Therefore, you have to improve your tour and sit with your players and say, is this enough? Is this enough? Is this enough? For Abraham Answer, it wasn't enough. He's the number 20 ranked golfer. He went to LIV yesterday. When you've got 2 competing tours that are equal, you are not going to be able to have a monopoly. You're not going to be able to corner the market, but you also can't lag behind. And when one group pulls ahead, the other group follows. Then the other group pulls ahead like you're playing leapfrog trying to cross Madison Avenue on 50th Street in the middle of rush hour. Then the other group pulls ahead. And who's benefiting this entire time? The players. This is a dream come true for professional golfers because PGA Tour has decided that we can't beat them, so we're going to join them. The question that we should all be asking is, will it be enough? Are there golfers who are saying to themselves, all I really care about are the majors, and as long as I've got the majors, I'm good? St. Andrews just announced that anyone can play. If you are able to play and you're on the LIV or you're on PGA, you're still good. You can play St. Andrews. The LIV players were allowed to play the U.S. Open. If all of the LIV players are allowed to play the majors, won't that be enough? Won't that be enough for LIV to keep its players? Yes, it will. The only way the PGA Tour can beat down LIV and put them out of business is if you told those players you will not be able to compete for majors. The Saudi Arabian sovereign fund will then respond with more money and more money. Is there enough money out there to give to a player to say, give up your dream of winning a major? So I started thinking about another sport that has majors, and I started thinking about tennis. Would Rafa Nadal or Djokovic or Federer or Sampras or Agassi, Connors, McEnroe, Lendl, Edberg, any of them, would they take money to have the opportunity to not win a major? My answer at first was no until I thought about it more overnight. And I came up with something that is the worst nightmare for the PGA Tour. What happens if LIV starts majors? How can that be? The Masters, it's been around for 100 years. The PGA Championship, the British Open, the U.S. Open. In tennis, you've got the French Open, you've got Wimbledon, the U.S. Open, Australian Open. That's what the record holders, that's what they want, the most majors ever. But they all had to start somewhere. They all had to start with the inaugural Wimbledon. If I'm Greg Norman and I'm running LIV, you know what I'm working on right now? I'm working on 4 majors. Because while the golfers of today will hold the record with maybe 3 majors, 4 majors, you could have an incomplete new tour where golfers who are 3 years old right now or not even going to be born for 20 years, they just join the LIV Tour. They could even put the PGA Tour out of business. The majors could cease to exist. Can you imagine a world where there is no more Masters? What, because it's a green jacket? Because it's Augusta, NJA, NBA? Yeah, I said it. That's Augusta. What if there's just a brand new tour? What if LIV comes up with an LPGA Tour? You're right. They're not going to do that. You think the Saudi Arabian sovereign fund is going to finance a tour with women? The sovereign fund doesn't even believe that women exist. And if they do exist, they only exist to be raped and pillaged, if not killed. So I guess there won't be a women's tour. So the LPGA is in good shape. But can you imagine sitting here today, if you're Greg Norman, having these meetings and having the foresight and having the money behind you to create something brand new and start? What do you need to start? You need the golfers. They're getting the golfers. They can do it. Jay Monahan, my message to you is this. It's a nice start. It's not nearly enough. Will you do more? Wait to see. At the end of the day, it's just business. This is nothing personal.